I want a Red Ryder. So this is Aramark Uniform Services in South Salt Lake City, a few blocks away from Redwood Road. This is where Soliman Talovic worked. He's an 18-year-old Bosnian kid who was working here, and by all accounts, speaking with the supervisors and reading the police reports, he was a really quiet guy, didn't talk to anybody. There was one person that mentioned that he ate lunch with him a couple of times and said that the guy seemed to have some pretty serious social anxiety. Didn't talk to anybody at work. He just kind of came in, did his work, and left, and usually went home about 5 o'clock or so. Well, what's kind of interesting about this is Talovic had 2 firearms, and they were both illegally obtained. One was a 5-shot Smith & Wesson .38 special revolver, and what's interesting about that is that supposedly through the investigation it's been determined that he obtained that pistol illegally from a kid that worked with him here, but the pistol itself was a stolen firearm that came from Wyoming. This guy was a burglar. He was involved in some sort of drug trade or trafficking or whatever. He was selling drugs basically in Wyoming. So somehow he got the pistol from this guy from Wyoming who sold it to the kid here, the Trolley Square shooter. Now, he bought that in June or July. They were able to determine it was between June and July of 2006. February 12th was the actual day of the shootings. Talovic went to Trolley Square between 6 and 7 o'clock. His father in Rose Park, which is nearby, remembers Talvik coming home about 5 o'clock, supposedly coming home from work, and then leaving the house again sometime between 6 and 7. Now, what's interesting about this is the Sportsman Fast Cash pawn shop, where Talvik definitely bought his 12-gauge pistol grip Mossberg shotgun, is very close by to this. And so it would make sense to think that he got off work here sometime. And he bought that in November of 2006. The shooting was on February 12th of 2007. And so it makes sense to think that Talvik would have driven past the pawn shop every single day when he was getting off work. So this is the uniform store, kind of serving the valley, throughout Salt Lake Valley, for the different businesses, as every town seems to have these kind of places. But this is 700 West, and now we're heading south. But what we're going to do is kind of backtrack to Talvik's house, which is 1051 West and 400 North in the Rose Park area. This is Redwood Road. Coming up here on the left, this is the Sportsman's pawn shop, where Talvik, I don't think I can get in there, can I? Talvik bought his 12-gauge Mossberg 5-shot pump shotgun here with a pistol grip in November of 2006, just a few months before the actual shooting. What's kind of odd about this is the person who sold the rifle to him sold it to him when he was 18. However, you have to be 21 years old to buy a pistol in Utah. Now, because it had a pistol grip, it's not considered a shotgun, it's not considered a rifle. So he was 3 years away from being old enough to buy it. Also, paper trail problem as well. The person who sold the rifle, the shotgun, to Talvik actually did a background check on Talvik. He passed it. The trail disappeared. He didn't have a receipt for it. He didn't have any evidence of the background check that he did for Talvik. And so that was kind of a shady thing. Same thing with the pistol. But anyway, there was some controversy with that for several years, and it's been 11 years now, and people like Carolyn Tuft, who was actually shot at Trolley Square, whose daughter, her 15-year-old daughter, was there as well, has been quite outspoken rifle and pistol firearm regulations in Utah and beyond. And it's kind of interesting because he certainly got his firearms very illegally, or at least in a shady way. And Utah's kind of interesting in that regard. And, it depends on the way you look at it. Some people are extremely pro-firearm, obviously, and some people are on the other side of the fence, and then there's some people that really don't care one way or the other. But Utah is a strange place in the sense that you can buy a fully automatic assault rifle here if you're not a felon. And it's my understanding as well that you can actually buy ammunition, a box of shells the same day that you buy something like that. So it's
heading into the hood of Salt Lake City.
Salt Lake City.
Or course, if you're from somewhere else, this isn't much of a hood.
That's what everybody says. They're like, everybody calls Rose Park the ghetto, and people are like, dude, I live in Van Buren Street, Phoenix. I want to talk about the ghetto. Yeah. This place is like Disneyland compared to that. But this is Rose Park area. Back in the old days, this is where the railroad people lived with their families. These neighborhoods are quite old, and same with the Glendale area. Very old housing.
Yeah, that's where I live.
In Glendale, yeah, they have just some beautiful old homes out there, though. It's just kind of interesting to see how things have turned out over the years.
Yeah, I like the old style homes.
I do too. I always have. Like, if you look at this house on the corner here, that green thing, that's back in the day. That was a beautiful old house. Yeah, really.
Hey, you got a house out here too, didn't you? Not too far.
Yeah, I did. I had over by the fairgrounds. These little neighborhood store areas. You can get into this kind of thing together. So, Soligman Talavik, let's see, this is 5th North and 1250 West. We're very close to his house. He, originally, when he moved to Salt Lake with his parents, in the early 2000s, he was a younger kid. His family was trying to escape war-torn Bosnia, basically, and they actually initially landed in the area that's kind of up towards Trolley Square. There's been a lot of people that kind of take the stance, well, why did he, what was the reason that he went to Trolley Square? And a lot of people say that, well, he went there to play video games as a young kid. In the movie theater section, they had an arcade there of some sort, and it was kind of a nostalgic thing for him, and that's why he chose that mall. But the fact is that nobody knows for real why he did. It's this house with the green paint and the white trim. This is where Talavik lived in February of 2007. He was living here with his family. Come around a little bit. He was living here with his mother and father. I know I always worry about people coming out, but you never know. Maybe someone will come out and start shoveling the porch and we can talk to them. See if we can get in there. But Talavik lived in the basement. He lived in the southwestern part of the basement.
The suspect in this particular circumstance had one thing in his mind, and that was to kill a large number of people.
Neighbors didn't see much of Salomon, but talked with his parents and sisters.
They'd say hi. These people are really good people. There's never been a problem with them.
Salomon did have run-ins with police.
We did see talks here on a couple occasions, one just as early as last week.
And the Salt Lake City School District says the 18-year-old never graduated from high school.
He was actually enrolled in many of our schools, and went from school to school.
Salt Lake City police came to the family's house this morning. No answer. Hello? We tried later that day. No answer. Family members are now trying to make sense of what happened.
We have no idea.
He lived in the basement, and when investigators came to this residence the very next day on February 13th, the parents had not seen Talavik from the night before when the shooting occurred, and they didn't know where he was. They hadn't heard from him. He hadn't called them, and in 2007, most people had cell phones at that point, but they hadn't received any calls from him. But when investigators came here, they confirmed that he was the shooter, and the mother and the father, when they initially showed up, they asked, was he involved in the shooting? Was he killed in the shooting? We haven't heard from him, because obviously you have these two police officers, detectives showing up at your house, and that's initially what they thought. Oh my God, he was involved in the shooting. And they actually said, well, he wasn't killed. I mean, he was killed, but he was not a victim of the shooting. He was actually the shooter. And when they did that, the mother went into extreme hysterics. She had to go into another room. The father had the girls take the mother into the other room while the police officers talked to the father, who was upset as well. But when they were there, they gained permission to do a voluntary search of the house, and he led them downstairs to the basement area, southwest corner. When they went down there, they found a library card. No, actually, they found that in the car, excuse me. they found a social security card, a resident alien card, basically a working visa permit because he was Bosnian, he was not an American citizen. And they found a receipt for the Mossberg shotgun that he bought at the Sportsman. And they also found the shotgun case, the box that it came in, laying on the bed, kind of partially hidden under covers. They found a lockbox in the closet that had some just various receipts and odds and ends. But it was very traumatic for the family because they had no idea that he was indeed the shooter, and he was, and this is where he lived on February. There as well. This is Trolley Square right here. It looks a lot different than it did that night. All these buildings here, this was the north parking lot. And so this was just basically a big parking lot, but the older section of Trolley Square, the old trolley barns, which were revamped in 1972 to become a shopping mall, are still over there too. The entire place, it looks essentially exactly the same. So the way it went down, 6:42, Talavic showed up here, and there is a parking garage now that kind of goes underground. It's 2 levels, and you can see the entrance right there. The way it happened, but in 2007, he would have parked on the upper side. The edge of that building, just at the roof there, was where the top level of the parking structure was.
We know his name is 18-year-old Seliman Talavic. We know that he is the son of Bosnian immigrants. Apparently went to several different schools in the Salt Lake area before quitting school in 2004. But other than that, there's not a whole lot known about him.
And there was a parking lot, and the guy, I mean, after he shot AJ and his dad.
Yes.
AJ, I think, ran downstairs to hide.
Yeah.
The dad died right there. He shot Munns that ran off this way into that bar.
Okay.
Green Street or whatever was there. And then he shot the glass when he went in. There was a lady sitting there. She didn't get hurt.
Yeah.
She disappeared. And then I think his next victim, I think he went to go upstairs there, but he didn't. And then his next victim was right there in that bed, Bath and Beyond, or the Body Works, whatever that is.
There was the report I read was the lady. I'm glad you mentioned that, because it says that there was a girl that was coming towards the doors, and then he took a shot at the door, like you said, and she just split. She went whatever way. But he also, apparently, the stairs are right there, and a security guard was standing there, and he took a shot at that guy, and he just.
But then he didn't go up there.
He went straight.
And the reports were coming on the radio. Yeah, he's shooting people. He has a trench coat. He has a gun. He's upstairs, which is the same thing I heard from those people. So that's why I thought he was upstairs, and that's why I asked Ken when I saw him, "Where is he?" And he's like, "There."
Right.
Okay. There. Okay. Good. He's down here with me.
She dropped off Kate, my elder daughter. They're both in high school, sophomore, senior.
Okay.
And dropped off at school at work, and headed to Trolley Square. And it was a 10-minute drive, and got there at 6:44 actually, when I parked the car. And I looked at the car and walked in, and just something felt strange, but there was no reason for it to. Like, we hadn't heard anything yet, but it just felt off, you know?
Yeah. Sure.
But I mean, there was no reason for it to yet, because nothing had happened yet. But I even commented that it feels weird to Kirsten and I say, I hope the mall is not like closing down, because it just felt almost abandoned, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And I commented on that. And then when we got out to the center part of it, it felt a little more lively and inviting. There wasn't a lot of people around, but it just felt a little more alive. And we walked into the card shop, and right as we were just walking through the door of the card shop, we heard the first shot outside.
Yeah.
And stopped and was like wondering what that was. And I don't know if I said it out loud or in my head, thinking that we'd be safer. Thinking it was like probably gangs. If it was a gunshot, I wasn't even sure if it was a gunshot, but it sounded like one. But I thought maybe there was some gang activity outside and we should just stay inside where we were safe. We had planned on going to buy Valentine's, and I picked my girls up from school, and we were going to go after school. But my other daughter got called into work, so we had to wait for her. Instead of her coming with us, we were dropping her off on the way, and Kirsten and I were going to go, just the two of us, hanging out together.
Yeah.
And
yeah, sure.
And I was standing right by the window, and I heard a shot and saw a really bright flash of light. And all of a sudden everybody was ducking for cover, and I didn't even know why. I didn't know what it was. Still didn't know what was going on. And I'd been shot through the glass, but it was like my arm was full of glass shards, and I didn't know where that had even come from, because the window, even though the buckshot had pierced through the window, it hadn't broken yet, and our elbows where they had pierced through and not shot the glass, it shot me with the glass bits. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
And I was thinking there was like some kind of a gag thing nearby. And I was really confused. And then I saw Kirsten running to the corner of the room with a couple of other people that were shot. And she was laying under a card rack. And she said, "Get down, Mom." And so I thought the ceiling was going to cave in because I could hear the glass splitting and started to crash. And I thought the whole ceiling was going to cave in on us. So I just kind of ducked and covered.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, the ceiling didn't cave in, but I felt the guy standing behind me, about 2 feet behind me. And so I was like crouched like a bunny, and he was standing out behind me. And I just looked over my shoulder, and he was standing there looking at me, and then he shot me in the back of my shoulder, back of my arm.
Yeah.
And that threw me on my face, and it shot the back of my arm off and blew out my lung.
Oh, yeah.
With the lead, the buckshot, because it was about 2 feet away, so it just blew a giant hole out of my arm and my chest.
Yeah.
And then he shot everybody else in the room, and I was laying there choking on my blood and couldn't breathe because it was squirting out my lungs faster, out my mouth faster than I could get a breath in.
Yeah.
And I remember just looking around up at the cards and the pink walls, thinking how weird it was I was going to die today on the floor of Trolley Square. It was just a really strange thought.
Yeah.
And looked over at Kirsten, and she was crying on the floor. And so I tried to drag myself over to her with my other arm, and I felt him. He had left the store, but I could hear him out in the hallway. And he was reloading, and people were yelling and stuff. I could hear people yelling. And then I felt him. I didn't ever see him again, but I felt his gun. He pushed it into my low back really hard and shot me again and blew a huge chunk out of my back. And put the gun beside Kirsten's head and did the same thing, and did that to everybody else that was laying there with her. Just put the gun on their head and basically just shot their heads, parts of their heads off.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Yeah. And then shot the other guy that survived in the store, Stacy, who's in a wheelchair. And then just, I remember laying there looking at her and watching the blood puddle up around me, and waiting for the bright light or whatever that, they say that happens at death. I just kept waiting for what that transition would be. And, or like if like they say some people see angels or different, I was just waiting to see what the real death experience was going to unfold in front of me. Cause I could feel myself bleeding out and, getting weak. Then I heard a cop come in and he was on the radio and was counting all the bodies that were on the floor.
Yeah.
And he thought I was dead. And he left. And I just remember feeling so hopeless, like, how somebody had come in and stood right behind my head and didn't notice that I wasn't alive.
Yeah.
And so he walked out, and I just remember feeling like, still waiting for that moment when I'd expire. And then I felt I heard the police, when I heard the shootout with him and the police, and then I heard the police yell stuff, and a girl came in from the store across the hall, the European Linens. She was an 18-year-old girl that worked over there, and she was a surgery tech.
Okay.
And the police, she came out of hiding, and the police were yelling for medical, help, like if anybody needs a doctor. They gave her some gloves to go see if anybody was alive, and she could see that my heart was still beating because the blood was squirting with the beat of my heart out of my arm.
Yeah.
So she knew that I was still at least alive. So she shoved her fist into the hole in my arm to keep me from bleeding out, and stayed there until the paramedics arrived. And then they put me on the stretcher and took me to the hospital. I died sometime between in the ambulance and the
hospital.
ER. Yeah, the hospital. And they revived me in the emergency room with a whole bunch of blood because I bled out several times over. Like they had to keep pumping blood into me because I was bleeding out as fast as they could pump it in.
I hear the off-duty officer upstairs yelling at me, OPD, OPD, Ogden Police Department.
He was over here.
Yeah, he was right up here, somewhere here. And he's got his gun out, but he's kind of faced this way. He's not pointing at me.
Right.
And he was dressed like me, like an off-duty cop. He wasn't in a uniform. He was out to dinner with his wife.
Right.
When I noticed who he is he's an off-duty officer, I say, where is he? And he says, he points like this right down here. And he says, I'm on you. Like, he wants to be with me. So I say, come. So he runs all the way down the little stairs, comes right up behind me, and he gets right up to about here, and we start moving forward. And he must have been closer. We're closer to this brick right here.
Okay.
I remember the shooter comes out of the party of our kids right there, that door.
Yes.
He comes out right there. So I'm on gun. I go to engage him, and you see Officer Hammond just run. He just disappears. Fight or flight, man. He just goes back. remodeled.
Okay.
But I'm right here watching it and trying to watch here. And Hammond tells me, you watch that, I'll watch this. So he's watching that because he's right there. And I can hear him in there. So I say, Salt Lake police, drop your gun, do it now. I yell it out. And he yells back, fuck you. And starts shooting at us.
Yeah.
Shooting at me. So then I'm doing this thinking, and it's hitting. I'm like, what is this? Sheetrock. What's in between us?
Right.
You know, and there's a window there. A few of Salt Lake City officers arrive here. They come from this direction. And I'm afraid they're going to walk in front of the window.
Right.
He might be able to get them. So I tell him he's right here. So they actually go in those doors over there.
Oh, that makes complete sense.
Four other officers,
Yeah.
3 other officers come in the outside door, and they go in the store this way.
Because there's a rear entrance back
They come
here.
in that,
Yeah.
and I didn't even see them.
Yeah.
I just see these 2, and I'm like, he's right here. So they go in there. The bad guy's shooting at us, and Hammond shoots 3 rounds. His rounds all go into that door jam right there.
Okay.
They don't hit the bad guy, but they keep him pinned down in there. And this
Yeah.
has changed too.
Yeah.
I mean, they've changed it.
Well, this was the door originally, right? This is.
Yeah, the door was right here.
Looks like a window now. Okay.
So all this is going on, and then I hear boom, 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 automatic gunfire, and I think to myself, because I hear his rounds and they sound like a cap gun. He's shooting a 45 Kimber, but it's not a threat.
Yeah.
He's behind me, and I
Right.
know he's not shooting at me. So even though he's firing, that's not of interest to me. It's not even loud. It's like a cap gun. But every time the bad guy shoots, it's boom.
Because it's
boom,
a shotgun,
because
right?
it's a threat.
Yeah.
Well, and I've got auditory exclusion going on, I'm sure, because everything, the threat is here. But then I hear more shooting coming from over there, and it doesn't sound like his gun. It's just boom, 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 boom. That's actually when the 3 that came in work their way up to where he is, the bad guy, and while he's shooting at us, they start shooting at him.
Yeah.
I see the bad guy, he spins out into this window.
Yeah.
So I actually take 2 shots right through this window.
Okay.
I shoot through whatever window is there. Bad guy goes down. I tell Hammond cease fire, and I come around to go in to see the bad guy. And when I do, he's just right here on his back. This was a door. He's right there laying down.
Just right in this area.
Right there.
Okay.
He's got a backpack full of ammunition on. He's laying on the back. He's got all these shotgun shells around his waist. Red ones. You know, like shotgun shells.
Yeah, sure.
As I'm coming in, I'm thinking, he's got a bomb. I thought it was nice.
You thought it was a bomb.
Just real quick for a second.
Right.
And then I realized, no, it's just shotgun shells. So I remember going up, and then I see all these other officers that are in there, the ones that were shooting at him while he was shooting at us. And I remember saying, handcuff him. They start handcuffing. Then I hustle back over here to see these people that I knew were, I didn't know if they were injured or not. They were having fever. It was right there. And he had shot 5, 8 people in there. I don't know how many people.
And this was the cabin fever.
Yeah, they've moved. But they were all just laying down. I thought they were all dead. And I remember thinking, how do we get medical to them? And then somebody either runs by or on the radio, somebody says, second shooter. And a lot of times in an active shooter scenario, you'll have like a phantom shooter, reports of a second shooter. And I think it was probably calls going into dispatch, saw Hammond up here with his gun out, and so people are saying he's a second shooter. I'm not sure, but we didn't have a second shooter. But I'm thinking, are you kidding me? We have a second shooter. I've got all these people that need medical attention. How do we get the fire department in there? Josh Sharman, he's one of our deputy chiefs now. He was one of the people that came in with that group of 3. It was Brett Olson, Dustin Marshall, and Josh Sharman were the 3. They're SWAT guys. They were at the police station. They just came over and worked their way in through that entrance, and they're the first ones to put rounds on the target, right, to stop him. I remember Josh came out and he said, we need to put a protective corridor here. We need cops in all these places so we can bring the fire department in to help these people. So they were working on that. He also said, let's start sweeping the mall for that second shooter. So I got on a team of, I don't know how many officers, probably 5 officers or more, and there were several of those teams, and we just went around and cleared the mall to make sure every store was clear. There wasn't a bad guy in any of the stores. And we would find some people hiding in different stores. Even in Party Barn Kids, there were people that were locked in the back office that were calling in later on to say, is it safe, can we come out? Sure. So we got up to the Desert's Edge Brewery, I remember, and I found in the back kitchen, while we're still clearing the mall, they found a walk-in cooler that was locked.
Yeah.
And I knocked on it, police, and I could hear people in there, but they wouldn't come out. So I pulled on the handle hard enough. I ended up breaking the handle. I got the door open, and all these people are inside there.
Yeah.
And they're scared to death. They're going to die. And I'm showing them my patch. I'm like, I'm police coming out. So finally they come out and they trust me. And it's upstairs, and I walk them down. I walk them to the stairway, and I see a security guard. And I'm like, hey, this security guard's going to take these guys outside of the parking lot so they'll be safe. Okay. So I expected them just to walk with the security guard, and they'd go down the stairs and they'd go out there. And I could keep clearing the building. And they looked at him, and they looked at me, and they're like, yeah, we're not going with the security guard. it was funny. And so I said, okay, I'll take you. So I started walking with them, and I walked them around, and there were kids that were my kids' ages, little kids, crying, scared. There were moms and dads. I mean, it was a big group of people. And I walked with them. I remember talking to one of the little kids, and I telling them, you're okay, can't get you. You're safe. But it really bothered me that how this one guy having a hard time in his life, the suspect, could cause this much terror to all these good people that are just here, innocent people. So I walked them down, got them outside, went back into the mall, kept clearing the mall for a while, called my wife. I don't know how long it had been, a half hour, 45 minutes. I figured because I could see all the cops and fire department and media outside that it would be on the news and she'd be worried about what was going on. And she didn't really, I think I scared her. I just, there's been a shooting, I'm okay. You're okay? Yeah, I'm okay, honey, I'm fine. She could hear in my voice that I was upset. There's been a shooting, I was involved, I shot, but I'm okay. And then I walked back out to the command post after clearing it and started talking to the people in charge there. One sergeant that was there with me, where'd you go? What happened? I said, I was inside. And we started talking, and they realized that I was the one that shot, as well as the other guys that fire our weapons. You're supposed to get over to the police station, and there's a protocol that you follow. Why are you still here? I'm like, I don't know. I was just clearing the mall with everybody, So then I went over to the police station and started working through that process.
Hey, you're already on film.
Oh,
how you doing, Rona?
Good, I'm great.
Did that get you getting out of your car? How you doing?
Yeah, my car.
Just for the heck of it.
Gosh, some of this place is so new and so different now the way it's set up. Because I remember coming on 900 East to 200 South, and I parked my car there, and I ran here, and there was another officer with me, Officer Scott Hall and Officer Brandon Hopkins.
Okay.
We were running this direction. The Wells Fargo, okay, there's Wells Fargo.
There's Wells Fargo.
As well, the Wells Fargo was a little bit over here because the Rodizio Grill, and there was a place for us that we could easily run in, but there were people running out from another building here, so that gave us the, they're coming from another direction. So the Kid Barn's on this side now?
I think, it's on the inside in there.
This building here is what's throwing me off then, that's why.
Yeah, this is all new.
Okay, Rodizio goes right there.
Yes, sir.
Okay, yes. That's what we remember seeing people running out of there, running out from the area, and then we knew then, we're going to run this way to try to see if we can trap this
Get in the back way.
The back, so.
Okay.
And people were saying there's somebody shooting at us, and people were running out, and we were telling them to take cover around these cars.
Okay.
And we headed in this direction. And I don't know if you've ever saw, but I think one of the windows back then, there was still a bullet shot.
I don't know.
Somebody pointed out, and it was still up there.
On the inside or on the...
I think, going outside from the inside.
Okay.
But we'll have to look at that and see.
Let's see if that's still there then.
But...
I saw it shortly after they reopened it.
Yeah.
And you could see a lot of the damage on the inside.
So, here's the, and this is the Kids Barns right here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Pottery Barn Kids, that's what it is. And I remember we ran here, and as we deployed what we call an EAT, an Emergency Action Team, to quickly get in, and we came through. Wow, I haven't been through here in a long time.
Is this bringing...
This is all different. There are more clothing and there was this great hallway that we can easily run right through.
Okay.
Good. Well, this is where we were running through. I can see the backup officer that was with me, Officer Gordon Worscroft, who's one of the sergeant now. But he was out with Dustin Marshall.
Okay.
And Brett Olson and Van Dalgen. Yeah, and they were already engaging the suspect on one area, and we were still running in this direction.
Okay.
Hi there. Hi.
Howdy.
Yeah, this is all new now, the way it's set up. But there was a clothing rack here, and then there was a door that we can go out that way. This is new here. This wasn't, well, there was an entrance there, but there was an entrance to that door.
That's what Andy said. There was an entrance, and the suspect was actually he ended up over here, right?
Yeah, there was a door here that we do remember, and this is where we engaged the suspect because he fell just barely into the Pottery Barns kids, and so when we came through, everybody, all the other first team was already on the guy when he was on the ground when we got here.
Yeah.
And we're like just looking, and then next thing you know, we hear from across somebody say, "There's a second shooter, second shooter."
Right.
So then we got upstairs. We were there.
And the second shooter, was it decided that was probably Ken Hammond?
That's when we learned that that the second shooter was actually the former Ogden police officer.
Okay.
See that smell?
Yeah.
It's the same smell I remember from back in the Trolley Square Tragedy. The cabin fever was over here.
That's right.
At that time, and I can't remember what the store here. But this was the door here.
Okay.
At that time.
Okay. Is this bringing back a certain memory? Yeah.
Oh yeah. And I remember seeing Tracy Eats up there. He was one of our other officer, and he was getting everybody to come up, and there was a stair. Oh, here it is. Took the stairs and met up and did another action scene. But that was before we went out. We went through here when we heard. I mean, like again, when I came running in with my other guys through the north doors of the Pottery Barn.
Yeah.
We can still hear all the fires exchanging firearms, guns, and you can smell the sense of the smoke and from the guns. And then we looked down, and everybody was just making sure we took cover because someone said there was a second shooter, and we could see windows blast on that side where the old cabin fever was once located.
Yes.
And we went here. There was a door. There's a door down here that needs to enter through. And just down that hallway was Brandon Hopkins, Officer Brandon Hopkins, our detective at the DV right now.
Okay.
He was kneeling and taking a cover where there was another body laying on there.
The female right here.
Female, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But I remember entering this door. There was a door here we entered through, and we could see people there yelling, "Take cover, take cover," and they were hiding. And we were telling them, "Just get back there and hide."
Yeah.
And when we came in here, there was a body laying here, and there was a woman. She had gun wounds and shots to her back, and she was on her stomach crawling. She was crawling to her daughter.
Yes.
And I said, "Don't worry, we'll take care of it. Just and we want to know if she was okay." There was another gentleman, an older man, that was hiding back here somewhere, and we wanted to see where everybody's at. And we asked them to show us their hands that they're hiding it, and to come with us. And there was another team that would try to extract them outside and wait for the other team to come out.
Yeah.
And we did the same thing with these people here too that was in this room. I can't remember what this building was, but the reason why I always remember Cabin Fever because the neon lights
is
what we saw here, and they had this smell to their store that reminded me.
Incense or something.
Incense, yeah, like some incense, yeah. Exactly. It was very strong, and which I can smell it to this day.
They probably have a similar, yeah. Anyway.
So we went around, making sure everybody, and then the young lady, and I remember there was a couple bodies in here, but the daughter I remember very well, and she looked like a mannequin with her head, just a part of her head that was blown off.
Yeah.
She was very, very pale. And I do remember sitting here, and Oblad, we met with Oblad later on.
Yeah.
When I came in, and he was with, I believe he was with Ken at the time when he met up with him. I'm not really sure, but my part was going with our other guys, and we were stepping over people and just checking the look and just trying to find this other active shooters, what we were doing. Once we were done here, we moved our way up in this direction. We noticed, we made sure this side was secure, the doors were locked, and Brandon stayed there for I don't know how long, but we went and checked every other door, and we went, there was another hallway that went to the spaghetti factory from here.
I kind of remember that.
Yeah.
That's changed.
This is new here, because there was another entrance for us to go around to the spaghetti factory.
Yeah.
Where I remember a man in a green suit, very tall, and he had a child with him. And we were rushing him back in. I said,
Yeah.
God, take cover, find a place to hide himself. Another team went that direction. And we went up here.
Okay.
Came up here. Yeah, we came through here, we met up with the other team there, and then we just, okay, who's going to take what direction? And the group I was with came to the Desert Edge Brewer hut, and there was a freezer here. There was a freezer here. I know we sent a lot of people, and we had them hide in there, and we shut them in there. And
okay.
Yeah, I want to say I know it was here somewhere.
So this used to be part of the kitchen, in effect, at some level.
Okay.
I'm asking.
This? No, yeah, this used to be the kitchen area.
Okay.
And I remember a freezer. Hi there. Do you have a freezer here somewhere? Yeah, big box freezer. 10 years ago. Has this changed over the years?
I don't know. Maybe.
Okay. Hi there, sir.
Hi.
Detective Moroni. He was just doing a documentary on the Trolley Square shooting, and so we're just trying to remember what we saw here before. But I remember there was a big freezer here.
Walk-in fridge.
Walk-in fridge, yes. This used to be the walk-in fridge, right?
No, it's right here.
Oh, right there. Okay. So that's where we locked everybody else in there during that time of the.
Do you mind if I pop back here? Okay.
The things has changed here, right? The roads and stuff. No, it's still been the same.
Was this
10 years?
Was this wall here at this?
Nothing's changed.
Nothing's changed.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah. I mean, it was so fast when we came through here, and we had people just hiding here.
Yeah.
Kept them in there. We forgot we were in there.
Yeah. You know what's interesting, Moroni? Andy, when I spoke with him yesterday, he told me he came to this freezer and he actually broke the handle off because he could hear people in there, and he was yanking on so hard he tore the handle off. And somehow they opened it up from the inside.
Yeah.
But that was a connection. You told me about that, and it was just interesting.
And there was a group of us because we remember putting them in there and stuff.
We'll get out of the way. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Then we went around. Oh, here's the other top of the spaghetti factory. But then we went around, went out to the I remember I made my way over to what's the place here? The Rodizio Grill, but we went on to the far south Rodizio.
Well, the Rodizio is clear down there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But there was a back way that we went because we were doing a systematic search.
Oh, okay.
And every team had to cover certain areas, and we went through the hall that's over there and checking in. So anybody that was already covering one, we moved on to the next, and then the next group went on to the next.
Okay. And this is up here is where Andy told me that he saw Ken when he first came in down here. He said Ken was up here.
You see, when I came, Andy was already down there with the other team that were already engaging the suspect at the time, and Andy was over here because I remember he brought his car on that side and ran in, and because I pulled over and I could see his car already, and I remember earlier I saw him running in, but I went around because we saw a bunch of just civilians running out in that direction. I said, oh, okay, maybe we'll encounter the suspect on that side.
Yeah.
But we went here and we made sure that somebody stationed down there around all these. But after a year and a half, I came through here, but it's been a while since I've walked up here. So this will be probably my first time in 10 years I've walked up here. There was a back way here. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's what you were talking about.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, was this the old theater over here? I can't remember.
I can't remember what this was here. But we walked through here, and I can't remember. There was probably like 6. I was with a team of 6.
Yeah.
And we came through here. Somebody quickly stationed there, quickly checked, and then when it was clear, we moved.
Okay. Yeah, you're absolutely right. This is the back of the Rodizio.
I remember we kicked down these doors, and there was a double door, but it was a double glass door at the time. This is new.
Okay.
But there was a double door. It looks like they made it to a single door. And we broke entrance to get into there, went to the back. That's apparently locked now, but we checked and there was a sort of a private guest room in there, or more of a party.
A VIP kind of thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can go in there. We can get into that side.
I bet you we can swap.
Hello. Does this go out anywhere? Is this the only door? There's no other entrance to that side? Okay. Oh, thank you. You're welcome. So, this room here is definitely cheap. It looks like still like a VIP room.
Sure.
But,
they still do that.
But it was more walled up, unless these are the walls that have now moved. But we went in here, checked here, went around. I can't remember what time it was. I know by then everybody was out of here, and we were just making sure there was no other suspect and looking for any other survivors that we could encounter and get them to safety. And we walked all the way around. But there's a lot of those guys who were up here when we first Sergeant Worsecroft, Sergeant Dustin Marshall. I don't know if you talked to them.
I haven't, but I'm planning to.
But those are the other guys who were here. Captain Van Dalgen, Lance Van Dalgen, very brilliant guy. He was there as well too, if I remember, and Sergeant Brett Olson. Well, those were the guys that who were the one that were encountering the suspect at the time with Oblat, and there was, I want to say, Brandon Kirkwood was also here too. He's with the Special Victim Unit as a detective. I think after that we all came downstairs, had another meeting, and then deviate what else we're going to do, and then we went out to the parking lot.
Okay.
And checked every car as well too. Then we came back in, and then we checked the house, checked the entire place once again, and I was with another different team, just checking all the inside every room to make sure there wasn't the threat was secured, or
And because
no
you
longer a threat.
and you did have that second shooter reporting, so you're still kind of thinking about that.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's pretty much what we did, and
you know, and I can imagine that just stuck with you for years and years. It was,
yeah.
Still to this day, I can tell you're affected by it. You know, at some level, you know, you're human.
Right. You know, and that's one thing. You know, we're still built with emotions and stuff, and but we learn to try to put it behind our badge and just do our job and just go there and without even thinking, we're here to help save people's life and help educate the public on what they can and cannot do. But when things like this comes back, you know, I thought I would never have these triggers in my entire life, but apparently coming back here took me a year and a half just to even walk the ground, just to see. And I remember walking to the cabin fever and then coming back again 10 years later, a little over 10 years to see this. And yeah, that smell still there, and my memory of seeing where bodies were all over the floor. It wasn't one of those pretty sights. In the back there was a parking lot, and now they got the fall event centers built back there, and they reconstructed the parking lot a little bit different. They still have an underground parking, but the top used to be a parking lot itself in the far
That's right.
west.
That's right.
And I remember, because my days on patrol, we used to come and park back there and write our reports and stuff like that, but now it's completely changed, and that's where the suspect first encountered from what we had learned, first encountered the first victim in the parking lot. I remember we were looking at it from the window.
And was that on Pottery Barn, right?
Yeah, it was outside in this hallway here.
Okay.
Let's just see if it's still there. That one over there. Somewhere up here is the window that, this has changed.
Has it?
Yeah, because it, oh wait.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah.
That hole right up there.
Yeah, there it is.
That's, we don't know if that was his or one of the
officers that
I see it. Let's see if I can, there it is.
Yeah, so I remember it was on this side.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Wow, it's still there. I'll have to circle that on the video so people can see that. If I can. Yeah, there it is. Okay. Wow.
So yeah. I remember we were looking at that because I remember we were walking around here. We were looking at every point of entrance.